What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Welcome into episode 158, everybody. I am your host, Sleazeball. Today's episode will be my Week 12 Smash players who are going to go nuclear. These are 8 players that I think that are going to get 20-plus points in fantasy football this week, and they're not going to be superstar players. These are players that are outside the top 10 at their position. I find it tacky if I'm like, start superstar names. So I also lost 3,000 files yesterday. PC crashed, couldn't restore everything. So yesterday was an absolute nightmare. Spent the whole day redoing everything. And I'm going to bring you even more information now and make it even better going into this week. So before we dive into it here, guys, make sure you smash that like. Make sure you hit that subscription button. Helps me out a ton. Turn that bell on. I will be live playing some Fortnite later today. I'll also be live with the Fantasy Football Show tonight, tomorrow, Sunday, and Monday for you guys. If you cannot make the show, you can always drop any comment you want down below. My goal is to answer every single one of them to help you get that weekly win and get that ultimate goal of a championship. And it is bye-mageddon, guys. 6 teams are on a bye this week. Falcons, Bills, Bengals, Saints, Jets, and Jags. So these are going to be plays you need to make this week. And let's dive into my smash starts for week 12. Starting off with my first QB, smash player of the week is going to be Justin Herbert. So currently putting up 15.9 points per game, QB 16, so outside the top 10 overall there. 2,186 passing yards, even putting in rushing work lately, 182 rush yards, only 1 interception, 14 total TDs for this man. And you're going to get the Baltimore Ravens. But what you have to look at here in this matchup is you're going to get Monday Night Football too here. I think this game is going to be an absolute shootout, unlike the Ravens-Steelers division game last week. So first 4 weeks of the season, Harbaugh, new coach, comes in. He doesn't even pass for over 30 attempts in the first 4 games. Then they hit the bye in week 5. Then week 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, where he has 13, 15, 30, 23, 24, 20, averaging 20 fantasy points a game, and he's thrown for over 30 attempts in 4 out of those 6 games. The Tennessee Titans game, he only threw for 18 because they had the game in hand and they were running the ball. You're getting the Baltimore Ravens here. The Baltimore Ravens are second best in rush yards allowed versus the quarterback. The Baltimore Ravens on the season rank 30th. Giving up 20.9 points per game. 18th in the red zone, 304 passing yards to the QB they allow, which is dead last in the NFL, and 2 touchdowns a game to the quarterback. And you also have to look at this as well. Not just are they bad versus the quarterback, which also leads right into the wide receiver. They're number 32 versus the wide receiver, dead last, 43 points a game. Expect Quentin Johnston, Lab McConkey, possible Josh Palmer in this game. 29th in the red zone, giving up 7.3 to the wide receiver and 189.5 pass yards allowed just to the wide receiver position, which is also dead last. So when you're looking at this game, I even like it to be over the over-under here. I think it's going to be a monster high-scoring game on Monday Night Football. And Justin Herbert's schedule looking ahead, guys, is going to be absolute gold. This guy is going to be a league-winning quarterback, and the 50.5 over-under, I'm not buying that. I think it's going to be in the 60s. This is going to be an absolute shootout game. Get Justin Herbert in your lineup. I have him as QB 6 on the week. QB number 2 that is going to be a smash play for me this week and was a smash play for me last week. Pat yourself on the back, sleeves. Anthony Richardson is going to get the Detroit Lions. And I told you guys last week that there's something about being benched, taking all the blasphemy and everything he got on social media. He's going to bounce back and be better in the game. And he comes out and throws for 272 yards. He had only thrown for 212 in the first game before that. You even went up against the New York Jets defense. He dropped 28 fantasy points, 20 for 30, no interception, 10 carries as well, 32 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, which actually I called 2 rushing touchdowns last week, which is actually bonkers. Now you're going to get the Detroit Lions this week, right? So when you're looking at it, the Detroit Lions versus the quarterback are very good. They're top 6. They're number 6. They give up 13.4. They're number 6 in the red zone, but they allow 250 pass yards a game. Now, when you look at that, you're like, well, low points for the quarterback, right? They blitz a ton on the outside. You're going to have Anzalone out of this game also. 2 of their superstar defenders are down. And when they blitz around the edges, you're going to get Anthony Richardson to rush up the middle. And with how good the Lions offense is and all the points they score and the absolute beatdown they put on the Jags, sending a message that they're not benching their starters, they're scoring 50 points a game, they don't care. That puts their defense at risk. This is why their defense versus the wide receiver is 28th. They give up 37.9 points, Of course, they're number 5 in the red zone because that front 7 is very good. But they give up 188.7 passing yards a game to the wide receiver, which is second worst behind the Baltimore Ravens, who I just talked about. So expect Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, possible Alec Pierce in this game to be a possible flex play for all of them. Josh Downs, wide receiver 2, obviously play. But because the volume you're going to see, and if they're down in this game, they're going to pass even more heavy. Anthony Richardson is in for another 20-point smash game here, and I do not care that the Detroit Lions are good versus the quarterback. Heading over to the running backs, I'm going to give you 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and 2 tight ends. So I said at the beginning, my number 3 player and smash running back number 1 is going to be called Tyrone Tracy Jr. here. He's going to get the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week, and I told you I'd bring you a little more stats out there because I lost all my files. So now I'm going to throw in the snap share that they had the week before and the target share he's receiving in the NFL. So 10 points a game right now for him. Obviously, he only came into starting role in week 6 or started to see more work in week 6. So he's been a top 20 running back since then, plus a bye week. So he would be like a top 15 running back if you add that in. And RB33 on the year, 80% snaps last week. So you can see that he is the absolute guy. Then you look at his target share, 7.1% to go along with the wide receivers, which is not bad. He's a great pass catching back out the backfield. That's exactly what he did at Iowa in college. Now, RB33 on the year, outside the top 10, 545 rushing yards, 117 receiving yards, and those 545 rushing yards are on 107 attempts. He's averaging 5.9 yards per carry, which is bonkers. 3 total TDs on the season. Now, you're getting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I know their offense, Daniel Jones released today. They're going to be led by Tommy DeVito, who I think is going to make this offense better. It cannot look any worse than Daniel Jones. If you think that, you're out of your mind. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers ranked 28th versus the running back, giving up 25.6. They ranked 28th in the red zone, giving up 8 points a game there. 91 rushing yards a game and a touchdown every other game. And when you're the full volume workhorse back like Tyrone Tracy is, I have him as RB8 this week, and I think he's going to pop 20 points in fantasy football this week. Smash player number 4 and running back number 2 is going to be Kenneth the K9 Bark Adam Walker. So currently averaging 18.4 fantasy points per game. Only played 73% of the snaps last week versus the 49ers. Target share is still 12.6, so a little higher than Tyrone Tracy Jr., but he's also been the starter for longer, so you can, come to that fruition really easy there. RB18, so outside the top 10 right there. 452 rushing yards, 222 receiving yards. His receiving work this year has been more impressive than his rushing yards to me. 113 attempts and 4.0 yards per carry, which you see Tyrone Tracy's is higher, which is crazy, but this man has 8 total TDs. And over the past 3 weeks, it was kind of becoming like a buy low with the bye week there too. He's only had 8 points, 13 points, 13 points, played against 3 tough matchups. Now you get the Arizona Cardinals guys. This is going to be a K9 feast game here. I have him as my RB4 on the week. The Arizona Cardinals ranked 25th versus the running back, giving up 25 points a game. 15th in the red zone, so about a top 16, 17 defense overall versus the run. 108 yards they allow, which is bottom 10, and they allow a touchdown at 70% chance rate. I expect K9 to absolutely feast in this monster NFC West division game here because you have the 49ers 5-5, Seattle 5-5, Rams 5-5, Cardinals 6-4. Every game matters. They're going to lean on their superstar running back heavy, and he is going to get 20 points this week. Smash player number 5, heading over to my wide receiver, sticking with the Colts game, sticking with Anthony Richardson, is going to be Josh Downs. So currently averaging 14.7 fantasy points per game. Snap share 65%. He's not really a full-time wide receiver 1 out there, but you don't need him to be to pop, right? Target share 26.3%, which is top 10 in the NFL. That is how important this guy is to the Colts offense. So ranks right now, wide receiver 16, outside the top 10 there. 71 targets, 50 receptions, 567 receiving yards, even gets rushing work, which you like with 12 yards as a fantasy football wide receiver, 4 total TDs on the season. Now, what you've seen since week 8 here, honestly, since week 4, since he came back off the injury, week 3 versus Chicago, 22, 15, 21, 26, 12, 14, 19. This man is a target share monster. He's literally going to win fantasy football matchups this week, and people don't realize it, right? So the Detroit Lions right now, like I just said with Anthony Richardson, they rank 28th versus the wide receiver. They have a very powerful offense that scores at will, which gives the other team more opportunities. They're very good in the red zone. Obviously, I said top 5. 188.7 passing yards they give up, which is second worst, and a 60% chance to a touchdown a game to the wide receiver. I'm telling you right now, I have Josh Downs at like 13 or 14 in my rankings right now, and I'm in my head, I'm like, man, I should have put him higher. I think he's going to absolutely explode in this shootout game that is at 50.5. So Vegas thinks there's going to be points flying. I think the points are going to be way over 50, and I want every piece of this game. I even like Michael Pittman as a flex. The only Colt I really don't like is Jonathan Taylor. It sounds crazy. Get Josh Downs in your lineup. He's going to get you 20 points this week. Smash player number 6 is going to be Calvin Ridley. And man, I told everyone to buy low, and it's like people forgot that Calvin Ridley is good at football. The minute that DeAndre Hopkins was traded, this man has gone nuclear, guys. So you just have to look at it. 79%, 83% of the snaps before he's traded. Then he's playing 94, 93, 88. He's never coming off the field. He's had 23 points, 12 points, 27 points, 10 points. And before, well, let's go like this first. He's averaging 11.5. Snap share up in the 88%, like I just said. Target share at 27.5, which is top 10, just like Josh Downs in the NFL. Currently wide receiver 28, so outside the top 10 there. The targets and receptions, man, 74 targets. Obviously, the quarterback play has been bad throughout the season with Mason Rudolph, but Will Levis is getting hot now, guys. 541 receiving yards, 32 rushing yards. You like that. Even at age 29, he's getting, rushing work, which helps you in fantasy. 4 total touchdowns. And this is going to be tacky, but this is one of my own tweets. I usually put out other people's tweets, but not a lot of people are talking about these Titans, man. So this is, don't look at the Will Levis. I'm going to use that for my next video. But Calvin Ridley, since D-Hop was traded in week 8, 17.5 points per game, top 10 wide receiver, 38 targets, 4th highest rate, number 1 in deep targets, number 1 in air yards, 358 receiving yards, averaging 90 yards a game, 2 touchdowns. And look at the schedule ahead, guys. This is why I've been saying pick up Will Levis if you need it in a quarterback league. I'm going to start Will Levis this week in my monster league. They get the Jaguars, who are terrible versus the pass, 31st. Cincinnati Bengals, who are terrible versus the pass, 28th. Colts, who are terrible versus the pass, 21st. And then the Jaguars again at the end of the season. So I am so high on Calvin Ridley and Will Levis heading down the stretch here. And it's like people have forgotten that they're NFL pro caliber athletes. And they just think because it's Will Levis or Calvin Ridley, they're not going to get it done. This man is going to get 20 points this week, 100%. You're going up against the Houston Texans here. And this is like the Detroit Lions, a very strong front, right? Their red zone, their front seven is going to be nice. Where do they struggle? First, the wide receiver. They give up 35.6 points per game. In the red zone, they're number 7, right? Good front 7, like I said. 152.8 passing yards a game they allow, and 1.5 touchdowns a game just to the wide receiver position. This is an absolute smash Calvin Ridley spot. He is going to get you 20 points in fantasy this week. Smash player number 7, heading over to my tight ends, is going to be Sam LaPorta. And I know he's been risky all year long. Coming off tight end 1 last year, I know it's been really, really rough with Sam LaPorta. But what you have to look at here is let's go back to the injury before against the Houston Texans, right? He only played 60% of those snaps and had 15.6 points, 66 yards and a touchdown. Then he came down with the injury, right? So currently averaging 8.8 points on the year. Snap share was 60% last week. It's usually in the 80 to 95 range, right? So you don't got to worry about that. That's just last week's. Target share 13.6. It has been a different year with Jameson Williams being involved and Jahmyr Gibbs being more involved in the slot in the pass game as well. So his target share has gone down. So he's tied in 17, outside the top 10 there. 32 targets, 25 receptions, 366 yards, 3 touchdowns on the year. Now, you're going to get my fantasy football pot of gold Indianapolis Colts here. This is the Colts' weakest spot, and they are terrible everywhere. So versus the tight end, they give up 14.7 points per game. That ranks 28th, 4th last right there. In the red zone, 4.8, 31st. That's second last. 56.5 yards to the tight end position and a 50% chance of a touchdown. And you just saw Dan Campbell send a message to the NFL that the Detroit Lions do not care. They are out for blood. They are going to run over everybody. They were up 30 points on the Jags in the 4th quarter, passing the ball. So you get the Colts here. Oh my God. I have LaPorta as my tight end 3 with a tight end 1 upside this week, and people are questioning it. Smash this man into your lineup, and I'm calling he's going to give you 20 points this week. Last but not least, smash player number 8 is going to be, and second tight end is going to be Jonnu Smith in the revenge game. Going up against the New England Patriots this week, and you saw how much a revenge game really matters, right? So, like, if you were in my stream last night when I was talking about Nick Chubb and why I like Nick Chubb more than Bucky and why I like Nick Chubb more than other running backs, because he had a revenge game when the weather was terrible. And in a revenge game, you get fed. So what you have to look at here is not only the fact that he is averaging 10.2 points per game, is inside the top 10. It is hard on Bime again in week here for me to get another tight end outside the top 10. So I kind of cheated the system with a tight end 8 here. But look at his snap share, 81%. I've been talking about this since week 1. You can go back to any one of my videos. Jonnu Smith is going to be a league-winning tight end down the stretch once he gets involved in this system. You have Tyreek Hill, you have Jalen Waddle, you have everything you need to be wide open at all times. Devon A-Chain out the backfield. Everything is here for Jonnu Smith, and you're starting to see it come to fruition. So 17.4% target share for tight ends in the top 10, 52 targets, 39 receptions, 448 yards, even gets some rushing attempts at -1, starting to get some touchdowns. He was tied in 1 on the week last week with 2 touchdowns. He was tied in 1 when I called it in week 7 against the Colts. I'm telling you again, this week, you're going to get the New England Patriots versus the tight end guys right now. It's not a bad or good matchup. They're right in the middle. They're 14th. They give up 11 points a game. They're 22nd in the red zone, so the touchdown upside is higher there. 40% chance for a touchdown for Jonnu and 44.6 yards. But again, it is a revenge game. Throw all that out the window. Tyreek with a banged up wrist. Jalen Waddle still drawing attention, but he's been a shell of himself. A-Chain is the man, my guy. And Jonnu Smith is going to give you 20 points again this week. Bang! Thanks for rocking with me today, guys. That is the end of the episode. That is my 8 smash start players who I think are going nuclear in week 12. 2 tight ends, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends to help you during this Bimageddon week 12 crisis that is happening in fantasy football, guys. Remember, guys, before you head out, make sure you smash that like, hit that subscription button, turn that bell on. It helps me out a ton. I cannot thank you guys enough for all the support this year, man. It's been absolutely crazy. And again, I will be live all weekend long. My next video will be my top 8 sleepers that are outside the top 40 at their position. So this is going to be a deep dive in the next video for deeper, more competitive leagues. And that's it for me in this video, man. Hope to see you guys in the next one. Sleazeball out.